There's my Bridgeport mill. It's a step pulley. It's from 1977. I rented a trailer and went and picked it up, and the seller put it onto the trailer. You know, we took the ram off, we took the head off, we put that stuff in the back of my truck, and with his forklift, he loaded it onto the trailer, strapped it down. I brought it home, took the knee off, took the table off, and used a crane, an engine crane, to take all the pieces off, and then I carried them down in the basement and worked on them, carried them back up in the garage and worked on them, and then ultimately brought everything back down, and it was quite a little project to bring it down here, but very doable. So what I did here was I put a VFD, I hooked the VFD up to it, and this controls the speed right here. This is your on and off. I don't have it turned on right now. Emergency stop. Got a Bridgeport light for it, and a Sino digital readout. And you know what this is. This is my dividing head that I just got, the Brown and Sharp. Came out really good. Got to start using this thing. A lot of people think they can't put a Bridgeport in their basement, and I'm here to tell you that you can, because my ceiling is, let me measure that. The bottom of this joist is 93.5 inches. And so I have just under 16 inches. Just under 16 inches from the top of the motor to the bottom of the joists. Here is the pride and joy of the shop, South Bend 13 lathe. This probably took about maybe 8 or 9 months to restore this thing, bring it back to its original glory. It came out really good. What can I say? This was bought in New Jersey. The guy who owned it took pretty good care of it. I mean, it was in great mechanical shape. But he just, I don't know, I guess he just didn't use it as often as he'd like. It came with a bunch of tooling. It was a lot of fun to do this one. We got an Aloris on it, and just recently I put the metric and inch dials on here. Cam lock, D14 cam lock spindle. It's got 4 steps on it, 4 speeds. Quick change gearbox. Got my little Mighty Mag holding my indicator here for a carriage stop. Another one of the upgrades that I did with this machine was I got a hardened spindle for it. Let's get that out. This is nice. It resists, you know, any kind of galling or any kind of nicks and stuff like that. So this was a nice little addition to the machine. And you know, I made this little tray stand here out of wood, oil, normal stuff that you would use. 2 chuck keys. I got this brass piece here, and you know, watching Adam Booth's videos, this is like my version of a knocker. But it's brass. His is lead. Mine's brass, and you could see it's well mushroomed. It's been well used. This is like an anvil. This is a knocker. You name it. It gets a lot of use. Here's a collet rack with assortment of different collets. We got a dead center. This goes in this goes into your spindle if you're going to turn things between centers. And you just you use this little bushing here, stick that in there, and in it goes. Wonderful. Now I can't get it out. Well, we'll just leave it there for now. Live center, and then the bushing for collets, to close your collets, 5C collets. And over there you could see the collet closer, the hand closer itself. Alright. Alright, over here is my South Bend drill press. This has been in a couple of videos, upgrading the bearings, putting the speed chart on it. I remember picking this thing up from somebody in Texas, and I believe I paid $150 for this drill press. Of course, it didn't look like this. It was in pretty miserable shape. It was green. It had paint all, spilled house paint all over it. But I did my thing and I restored it and brought it back to life. Put a new motor on it, and yeah, and I think it came out pretty good. I replaced all the bearings in it, and it's got the high speed or the multi-speed attachment in the middle there. Pretty handy, pretty useful. Came in handy for a lot of different projects, and it's a great asset to the shop. This is a Dake #0 arbor press. Good little press. I have to get a stand for it, and I'm going to put it. I have a space for it. But yeah, what can you say about an arbor press? Every shop needs one. Sitting here on the bench is the pieces of a South Bend pedestal grinder that I'm in the process of restoring that. This is a slow go project. Every now and then I'm stripping some paint, cleaning parts and whatnot. But this will be nice when it's done. These things are pretty rare. You don't find them very often, and they're really beefy, and I can't wait. I actually can't wait till it's done and I could sharpen some tool bits up on it and utilize it a little bit. We got the pedestal out there in the foreground over there. It needs some serious derusting on the bottom. I don't know if you could see that right behind the motor. Let me zoom in. There's my Kurt Vise for the milling machine. There's the motor for the pedestal grinder, and the bottom of that base is it's full of rust. And what happens is it's all splashed down from the water that's cooling the bits that are being ground up. So what I think I'm going to do is either find a bin that whole cast iron base will fit in, or I'll just build a box out of wood, and really just a four-sided box that will sit on the concrete, and you line it with heavy plastic, maybe 2-3 layers of heavy plastic, and you submerge the whole base in there with either the molasses rust removal method or a lot of evapor rust, but that could get expensive, so we'll see. We shall see. Above the pedestal grinder we got our Starrett decimal chart. I think no shop is complete without one of those too. Speaking of which, right there inside the top of the rollaway I have a decimal chart. Those are old South Bends that I picked up. Let me pull them out and show you. So as you can see, these are real cool. They got the old blue style. They look like real blueprints. Tap drill sizes, South Bend lathe, and then the decimal chart. So my plans are to I'll frame these up with with some glass and stuff like that and hang them up on the wall. These are pretty cool. Over here is a granite surface. This is, I think, 2 foot by 18 inches. I forget the exact size, but I got these setup blocks, right angle blocks. Got these from the guy that I get my end mills from. I believe I paid about 15 bucks for these. They're real cool. I believe somebody made these, because they don't look like there's a real maker's mark on them, but they're pretty cool. They're super square. Everything is precise. I measured them with the height gauge. Here's a little bench block for driving pins out of shafts and stuff like this. This was a $10 item on Craigslist. And again, rusty, completely rusty. And then you submerge it in evapor rust and you have nice tools. Same thing with these. These were a bit rusty. Surface gauge. Again, this was pretty rusty too. I have some pictures of this. I did like a little bit of a restoration with this too. I re-blackened some of the parts. But again, I think this was another $10 or $15 item. And then we have a nice Starrett height gauge here. This is a what model is this? This is a number 255. Goes up to 20 inches. This was an eBay purchase. Pretty cool. I like it. Always good to have one of these. 1.5 million uses. And where would I be without my Optivisors? This is my cabinet that I keep all my drills in. We got numbered drills. We got fractional drills. Letter drills. Although, as you can see, this is also fractional. So this cabinet came with 2 fractional drawers. So I just kind of have my letter drills in here, just laying in here, and I wrote with a pencil on here. I'm gonna get these labeled better and figure something out, because they're not fitting and I don't like this. Got some reamers, not a lot, just a few of the normal sizes here. Here is my taps, and as you can see, got all these pieces of paper in here, and a lot of these taps came with this cabinet. So what I did was I went through and I sorted them all out, and I wrote on pieces of paper what they are, and I have empty spots over here which I'm gonna get some new taps for and fill in the blanks basically, and then I'm gonna label these properly so they're nice. And down in this last thing is just an empty drawer with just some miscellaneous bits that I have. Some of these are oddball sizes, and yeah, some cobalt bits over here. Got some long drills here. One thing I did want to show you though was this up here. Let me get a better angle for you. When I bought this cabinet, it was filled with all kinds of neat and interesting things. For instance, this little tiny chuck, little Jacob's chuck with key. But I got all these very, very small drill bits. Some of these things are, here, I'm just licking my finger. There we go. Very, very tiny little drills. You could barely even see them. And it came with all these tubes. Like, this is a dozen drills that are 12. This is a dozen drills here. 12 thousandths of an inch. So all these little tubes here. These guys here are 7 thousandths of an inch. Got some drills here. 9 thousandths of an inch. 10 thousandths of an inch. Got some more in this envelope. 9 thousandths of an inch. Pretty interesting. Oh, and it also came with this. This was rolling around in the drawer. I'm surprised it didn't go off. Looks like some kind of an old NATO round or something. It's definitely a military round. I put a post on Practical Machinist once with pictures on it and threw out some measurements, and I forgot what the determination was, but interesting stuff you find. Here's my bench. I built this a couple years ago. It's really just 2 cabinets with a table on top of it, and it's got normal bench stuff. It's got the little compartments filled with screws and nuts and bolts and whatnot, oils, different things. Got some reloading stuff. I do some shooting, so I recently got into reloading. I got a Lyman press right over there. Here's some miscellaneous stuff in the shelf. We got some water for the grinder, and down there you could see is a bin filled with bearings from various machines that I replaced the bearings. Way back over here you could see tucked in the back is a million newspapers. Here we have our official machinist chair slash factory chair. Another Craigslist buy. I think I paid like 50 bucks for that. Nice, solid. And of course I I took it apart and cleaned it and greased it and, you know, brought it back to life because it really didn't spin or nothing like that. But anyway, you'll see down here is some hand planes. The funny thing about the hand planes is that's really what got me into restorations. I was building a wine rack one day and I was making a drawer with dovetails. So I was looking at YouTube videos of, you know, of hand cutting dovetails, and I saw a guy, he was using one of these. It was a modern plane, and he had mentioned that it was a modern incarnation of a Bailey plane. And I always remember that Stanley Bailey planes were they were desirable. So I went on to eBay and I found a couple, and they're so cheap. They're so inexpensive, $10, $15, whatever. So I bought a couple of them, and then just so happened to see somebody on one of the forums called Lumberjocks, and one of the guys on there was restoring hand planes, and I thought, wow, that's really cool. I was real impressed with what he did with them. He really made them just transform from ugly and rusted and everything into beautiful, workable tools, That's where I found out about evaporust and some of the other things that I use. So anyway, I bought a couple of planes and I started restoring them, and thought, wow, this is really cool. And that's when I started to get into machinery restorations. I mean, just one thing led to the other. Let me show you one of these that I restored. All right, this one is a Stanley Bailey. I forget what year this is from, but I believe it's the 40s. This was painted black, and the handle was painted black, the tote was painted black, and this was rusted like you wouldn't believe. So I brought this to a machine shop and I surface ground the sides. The bottom wasn't pitted or nothing like that, so I literally put this on my surface plate with sandpaper and worked at it and cleaned that up, lapped it, derusted it with evaporust. I stripped off the paint and just coated it with lacquer, and I cleaned up the brass parts and stuff like that. And what do you know? I mean, it's beautiful. I think this was maybe $5 I paid for this, and whatever the shipping was, but. Then over here is this is a Stanley Bailey from the 30s, and these are the ones that are supposedly very desirable. They're the Sweetheart models, and you could see the little heart. And I believe Sweetheart comes from the person the CEO or the owner of Stanley. His last name was Hart, but these are apparently the the golden years of Stanley Baileys. So I don't know, maybe the 1930s or something. I got a couple more. And from time to time I clean them up and restore them. So let's see what else we got here. Here's some shop lights that I use. Little stream light right here. Great for looking into machinery and doing whatever you need to do. These things are super bright, super inexpensive. Here's a regular mag light. For electronics, I have my multimeter here that I got this recently. It's a Fluke 87.5 or 87V, whatever you want to call it. These things are really, really neat. The things they do. I use this on my car for testing batteries, testing the load draw with alternators and stuff, and for various electronics projects. Safety glasses and loops. We got some brushes in here. More brushes, pipe cleaners. Here's some parts for my grinder. There's the lights that go in the guards. Got some old dials here. These are from my South Bend. Now that I got the new dials on them, I have old dials. Over here is some dies for reloading. I got some loads over there. And as we pan across, I got a soldering iron, little stereo. We need the tunes, paper towels, and that's about it. So yeah, pretty standard, humble little shop that I got down here in the basement. Building it up one machine at a time, one part at a time, and one tool at a time. Just wanted to give you guys a look at this rear part of the shop. This is where I keep all my woodworking tools. I kind of moved from a woodworking shop into a machine shop over the years, and a lot of my woodworking stuff is on movable stands or just sort of like tucked away for now. But over here we have I have all the basics, right? So I got a Jet 14-inch bandsaw. And back behind that I have a small wood planer. And forgive the mess. I mean, this is more of a storage area of the shop for now, until I get it all worked out. Now that little bin right there holds clean, slightly dirty, and really dirty rags. Over here we have our our little, what is it, 4x6 bandsaw. I think the best part on it is the starret blade. And I got some extra wood from various projects laying around. This is a router table with a Lee dovetailed jig sitting on top of it. There is my dust collection and an old, I think it's a Ryobi drum sander sitting on top of that. And over here, where there's a lot of stuff sitting on top of, this is my Powermatic. It's a 5 horsepower saw, and it's got an extended table, which has become a bit of a catch-all. I gotta clean it up. I know. Always work to do at the shop. There's some evaporust sitting, and the grinder. Oh, the buffer, I mean. So this is the undesirable section of the shop, really. I shouldn't say it's undesirable, but it's just, you know, it's disorganized. It's not cleaned up, and over the winter I plan to really fix it up and make it nice. I'm going to put a connecting wall that goes, you know, that spans all the way across. That's all storage back there, normal basement storage. That's pretty unpleasant, so just wanted to include it all. Alright guys, that's it for the tour. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed showing you around. Until next time, thanks for watching. See ya.